I know it's been a while and I never did tell you about my trip to Boston, so that is what we are going to talk about today. I was in Boston for almost a month and I never had the opportunity to really talk to you about it, and so that's what we're gonna do now. Yay. Like I said, I was there for a month and I was working, and I pretty much put off sightseeing until the very last minute. And it was beautiful while I was there. It was great. The sun was out. It was warm. Be quiet. And eventually, by the time that I got around to having real free time, it got really cold and kind of rainy. So, in true adventure spirit, I decided that I was going anyway. And I only got to do one tour, and I kind of got to see the downtown historic area of Boston. And that was pretty much it, because it was cold and miserable, and I did not feel like being outside. So even though I was there for a month, I saw pretty much nothing. Yeah. But what I did do is something that's kind of cool if you're only there for a short amount of time, like one day, is please be quiet. It's my mom's dog. I went down to, I guess it's the Boston Commons, and I went, and there's a little visitor center there, and they do these really cool tour things where they take you around and they show you a few of the historic places, and you can kind of get different types of tours depending on where you want to go, or what you want to see, or what you're interested in. And it starts there in the Common, and I guess the new State House is, please be quiet. The new State House is right there, and they gave us all the history about the new State House, and all the history about the Boston Common area, and then there's a church there across the street, and they told us about the church, and we walked down the street just a little bit further, and we got to see a cemetery. And this cemetery was really old. I guess it's a cemetery, it doesn't matter how old it is, they're all dead anyway. But there were some pretty important people buried in it. We got to see, who was it? John Hancock's grave, which in true John Hancock fashion was eccentric and bigger than all the other graves. And also got to see Paul Revere's little tiny grave.
Gravestones. This is not the original gravestone. Just like with Hancock, this is honoring Paul Revere's memory. Because it's Paul Revere, right? Something important. His original gravestone is actually that thing right there. That's Paul Revere.
But Paul Revere, as it happens, and I didn't know about this, did not really become famous until the poem was written, Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. He actually had a few other people helping him out, and the whole thing was not as exciting as history people make it sound, unless you're actually hearing the real history. But anyway, also buried there is Samuel Adams. And 3 or 4, I guess a bunch of the people, I don't really know, and several people who were some of the first casualties of the Revolutionary War are buried right next to him, and I think the youngest one was like 11 or 12, which is kind of insane. But anyway, we saw all that, and that was kind of neat to see. It was really kind of interesting. This is right across the street from Samuel Adams' grave, because it actually faces the road, is a bar that serves Samuel Adams. There isn't really any relation between the Samuel Adams beer and the real Samuel Adams, except for the name. The picture apparently isn't even of Samuel Adams. I didn't know that. And so that was kind of an interesting sort of thing. Anyway, from there we walked and we went to one of the meeting houses, kind of down through some of the skyscraper areas, and heard a little bit about different types of meetings. And where did we go next? I think we went to the town square area. I don't really remember. I think it was the Boston City Hall. It's right across the street from Big Bank. It's like this old building. Kind of looks like a church that they're redoing. Anyway, I don't remember what it's called. It was neat. But at this point, the wind had really started to pick up, so we actually went into the bank to talk about this particular building. And from there, we walked to, I think it's called Faneuil Hall. Probably totally messing up the name or calling it the wrong thing, because I obviously didn't pay very good attention during this tour. Anyway, that's where we kind of ended the tour. It was probably an hour and a half long. And we learned a little bit of history about the hall, and then they kind of set us on our own to do our own thing. And I decided that I was going to go to Paul Revere's house because that was kind of nearby. And even though Paul Revere didn't really do anything super important and wasn't really anybody really cool during the Revolutionary War, they had his house, and because he's someone that people recognize and know, I decided I'm going to go to his house. And so I did. I think it only cost like $2 or $3 to go in, and went in. I couldn't film inside of it, and my battery is dying, oh dear. I'll make this quick. Anyway, went up there, went upstairs, saw his bedroom, did all those kind of cool things, and then after that, I went and I ate at an Italian place because Paul Revere's house also happens to be smack dab in Little Italy. And yeah, and it continued raining, and I decided that I was going to get a taxi to go back to the apartment where I was. Anyway, from where I was in downtown Boston, I went back to my apartment and I packed up my bags and I left the very next day in the evening. I took a train, actually, which is kind of strange to do in the US because not too many people do it, but hey, it's cheap and it's a good way to get around. I took a train from Boston down to Washington, D.C. Yeah, it was a long trip. Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe, comment in the comment box if you would like, and hopefully I will see you next week, and if I don't, it's because I have a life. Anyway, yeah. Bye.